banned only post-killing of our Prime Minister. I was looking at how an organization can be a terrorist organization all of a sudden, that it was only an insurgent movement in a country. It made me look at all of those issues and personally analyze for myself. But working for this report, and truly it was for 50 hours, I'm sure we put in more than those hours, but it truly deserved that time. I felt personally kind of accomplished in doing something and working for a cause, which is not always true in the corporate world. Thank you.
Okay. Like I said in the beginning, there's a lot of parallels I drew from what's happening in Crimea and the almost everyday experience in most countries in Africa. Um, just dwelling a little bit on the International Tribunal recommendation and the database. I think the whole concept of sovereignty within the context of human rights is beginning to lose its appeal because the fundamental responsibility of a state is to protect its citizens and to ensure that where its citizens' rights are violated, that there's already a form of redress, a judicial method through which the, 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 the injured citizen can get some redress, whether the violation is by an agent of the state or a private individual. But the experience, especially in Nigeria, for instance, is that we don't always get that justice for a couple of reasons. Either because there's no proper preservation of evidence, and so you end up not being able to espouse your claim, which is why we think the database should be a good idea, or because for one reason or another, the court just, whatever judicial tribunal, just does not do real justice. Maybe the case is thrown out for one technicality, and of course we can't rule out the issue of corruption. And I don't think it's something, wherever you have conflict situation like this, I think it's behind the veil, behind the point where you have human rights violation, there's usually the other possibility that the system has developed some form of corruption. And so the concept of an international tribunal, I would think, is applicable to most countries in Africa, to the same extent as it would apply to Ukraine. So by participating in this project, I was more or less trying to be innovative and to think of ways in which the whole issue of human rights, which I think is a universal problem, can be addressed. So that, taking a cue from the recommendations that have been made for Crimea, I could somehow suggest the same things to be tried in Africa. Already we have the experience of the ICC, which underscores the point I was trying to make, that sovereignty is playing less, the role of sovereignty is being diminished. The International Criminal Court, which should try war crimes, genocide, and so there's already, I think, conceptually, there's a precedent that can be built upon, and I don't see a reason why, with proper arrangement, we cannot have an independent international tribunal that can adjudicate rights issues. So, circling back to the main question of the impact for me, I think is to say that the problems we face with human rights in Africa is the same issues that occur, whether in Africa, whether in Crimea, and therefore we can somehow find one common answer that we can exploit and try to settle it once and for all.
Yes.
Hi, thank you. You said something I wanted to get you to expand upon. Victor, I believe you said that states should protect human rights. I want to know why, and what makes us think that they will.
Oh, okay. No, I said that like a premise that's what I understand the obligation to be. So when they fail, I guess the point I was trying to make, maybe I wasn't very clear, is that when they fail to do that, then there's justification for you to seek remedy within the context of international law and international legal order. So if a state is, let me use the word, abdicating its duty to protect the human rights of its citizens, then that state, that government has, in my opinion, breached the social contract it has with the people, because we elected you so that you protect us. If you fail to protect us in lieu of violence, because the other option should be revolt, which should be violence, and perhaps the whole Arab Spring experience may not vary, but that's the second option. So I would say, rather than that, the international legal system should be able, the international community should not be shy to come in to say, okay, the state is failing in this responsibility, but we can negotiate and find an independent international body applying the state law that can try to proffer some kind of redress for these rights. That's the point I was trying to make.
Yes, do you have any opinions about the South Africans' committees on reconciliation and how that approach fits in with what you're doing?
Basically, your example is another mechanism how to address human rights issues with respect to violations and failing of the state to protect human rights. As for me personally, I think that in case of Ukraine and where two states are involved, we need the body with more power, with recognizable jurisdiction, the body whose decision should be implemented and obeyed at once. Because in the nature of reconciliation committees, they are based on the compromise and agreement, and their decisions and their solutions won't have this power which we need in the case of Crimea and entire Ukraine crisis.
Maybe one last question. Lady in the blue? Yeah.
Yes. There is a very large body of Russian students. I'm quite sure among them are legal experts. Have you approached Russian students? Have you approached Russian lawyers, legal experts to join your organization? And if indeed you did, what was their response?
And okay, we'll take questions and answer them. Okay, Hussein and Pavel. Okay.
Yeah, if I may, I'm a Russian word, by the way. I'm sorry to tell you. Yeah, I mean, you were talking about this creation of international tribunal and some other sorts. What about the already existing, very well-known institution? I mean, the European Court of Human Rights. That's the. To me, it looks like a logical place for the adjudication of these issues, and as you know, both Russia and Ukraine are the members of the Council of Europe.
And one more question, and we'll answer them.
Well, it was kind of related, and I think it will cover your answer for that question. But what I can expand on it is that are there any court cases started from the side of?
I'm sorry, can you
Are there any court cases
Mhm.
already initiated and in process in these international courts, either by the Ukrainians in the refugees,
Like
international or Crimea Tatar
You mean the same European court?
yes,
Yeah.
or any of the not only the one mentioned.
Okay, going just to give you one also, basically also another underlying issue with what we're advocating and what resonated so well among the European member of parliaments, that there are legal solutions to this, and that's something I wanted to just make it clear. And well, this is the graduate program, and this is part of the so whoever is interested in those subjects, they sign up for the in those projects, they sign up for this. So we have no, basically, if they qualify, they qualify. So with respect to the organization, I'm sure Erasmus is a very diverse group of has volunteers who are very diverse, and has Russian nationals, and it's not an issue. For Volia Institute, we are very diverse. We don't have specific someone who is a Russian lawyer. We'll be more than happy to help Pavel if you can donate some of his time and work with us. We'll be more than thrilled to have him. It's out there. And with respect, I would like to, before I give it to you guys,
we concluded that the current solutions, the current existing bodies are not going to work for Ukraine specifically, because there has been so many human rights violations starting from Maidan, and people have been killed by snipers. And what's going on in the Crimea? The society wants solutions, and they have to have a closure. And by taking years and years and lots of means, they get discouraged. It gets very political, unfortunately. There are cases that should go to European Court of Human Rights. There are cases who should go to ICJ and ICC. But we care about people, not the political solutions, and we want people to get their justice, and they should get justice because they were standing for justice at Maidan.
I'd like to answer the question about the international proceedings. Basically now, there are at least 3 courts existing where the cases concerning human rights violation or in general situation in Ukraine can be tried or adjudicated. This is International Court of Justice, which, by the way, in this case can give only advisory opinion, which is very valuable, and for sure Ukraine should seek it. Another court is International Criminal Court. As you may know, Ukraine signed the Rome Statute, which created this court, but didn't ratify it. But Ukraine already submitted 2 applications, it's not application, but request to International Criminal Court to try cases about crimes committed during Maidan and during Donbass occupation and war as to my best knowledge, there is no active proceedings with this respect, because another step would be that Ukrainian General Prosecutor Office would give his formal consent to cooperate and provide International Criminal Court with all the information and cooperation and their knowledge which they have with respect to those cases. And another step would be that Chief Prosecutor of International Criminal Court would agree to investigate and initiate the investigation of those cases. So this is a very long process, but it's possible. Everything is possible. Another court is European Court of Human Rights. European Court of Human our recommendation doesn't exclude European Court of Human Rights, but European Court of Human Rights is overloaded with the cases. European Court of Human Rights hears applications from 47 countries, individual applications. So there are thousands of applications every year, and cases are tried for many years. So, and another thing which is different with respect to our recommendation in European Court of Human Rights, that to European Court of Human Rights, the individuals can apply only after the sovereign system failed. I would say that the state violated the convention, and that's why we are seeking compensation for this violation. But European Court of Human Rights, it has no power to restore the violated right. It has a power only to demand from the state to compensate this violation, to pay for it. Our proposition is a kind of ordinary first instance criminal court, which would try the case in first instance. So it will be more close to the people, and it should be more useful and more quick in addressing those issues.
Just to add, to answer directly the question of whether a case has been brought, yes, Ukraine has brought a few cases at the European Court of Human Rights to espouse the rights of its citizens, but fingers are still crossed to know what the determination of that case would be. But during the course of preparation of our papers, so we were relieved to see that Ukraine at least has taken the initiative to bring some claims at the ECHR.
All right, well, there's lots more to say. I understand there's a reception after this to which everyone is invited. Thank you all so much for your kind attention, and thank you to all the panelists.